Seltzer Kings.
Podcasts.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. With the price of just about everything going up during inflation, we thought we'd bring our prices down. So to help us, we brought in a reverse auctioneer, which is apparently a thing.
Mint Mobile Unlimited Premium Wireless. How to get 30, 30, bit to get 30, bit to get 20, 20, 20, bit to get 20, 20, bit to get 15, 15, 15, 15, just $15 a month? Sold!
Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
$45 up front for 3 months plus taxes and fees. Promo rate for new customers for limited time. Unlimited more than 40 gigabytes per month. Slows full terms at mintmobile.com.
What does an 18-year veteran of the tech industry and a 20-year veteran of the military have in common? More than you might think. Welcome, everyone, to the Second Act Podcast, leveling up your life's journey. Welcome back to the Second Act with Michael and John. We have a very special guest here, and John was just sharing with us how he's trying on life, and that expression means something very important to our guest that we'll get into here in a second. But before we kick things off, this month we started a campaign called the MJ Pay It Forward campaign, where we are just picking random people who sign up on a page on our website with their name and email, and we are sending them a gift card. It's sort of the modern day version of standing in line in front of someone, coffee, groceries, or whatever, and paying for the person behind you. We're just going to send a gift card to someone and make their day. Small amounts, but we feel like it's the least we could do. And we're excited for the first person to be the recipient of this. Is Teresa. So Teresa, be on the lookout in your inbox for an e-gift card from Michael and John.
Awesome. There you go. First winner. I love it. Michael, you doing all right though?
Yeah,
You said in the text to me before we hit record. I don't even know what you said. You said something about it being busy and it's only Monday. Or it's been a week, but it's only Monday.
Yeah, and all in a good way. There are times where nothing is happening, and it's like crickets, and you don't know if you're headed in the right direction in life, and you do a lot of self-reflection, and you're just trying to figure things out. And then there's times where everything's happening all at once. Yeah. And I say embrace both of them. They're both equally good in their own ways.
Sure.
So I feel like I'm in one of those moments where a lot of things are happening. I'm having a lot of fun and interesting conversations with people, friends, former colleagues, the people we speak with on this podcast. And since we kicked this off, John, it's just been a absolutely outstanding experience in so many different ways. I feel like the community we've built, the things we're doing, sort of mission-oriented in certain ways, it's been fun. And I think you got to have fun in life.
I agree. And that's a great setup for our guest today, because I usually say that I'm very excited about who we're going to interview, but I'm going to say today that today it's a very special guest for me, and I'll give you the backstory. A little over 2.5 years ago, I was about to get out of the military, and, a whole host of options out there, a whole host of places to live and things to do and friends to pick from. And I ran into this guy just really over LinkedIn, talking about all the things that he was doing, but living life intentionally, living life the way you want it to be lived, and not letting the system dictate what you're going to do. Choosing life based on who you can be around and the things you can impact, not just collecting a paycheck. And I started listening to our guest today, and it really struck a chord with me. And I just reached out, and that's one of the things I do. Sometimes without thinking of the consequences or thinking about how busy somebody could be, and they're probably not going to reach back out to me. But I reached out to Maurice, and he and I had an hour-long Zoom call weeks later.
That's awesome.
And it changed my life. changed my life in ways that he is not even aware of. And so I'm really excited to have him on.
Wow.
But that's why
kind, man.
this is so special to me, is because I get to now have Mo on the podcast 2 years after our initial talk. And I'm living in a place that I probably wouldn't have lived. I'm doing something that I probably wouldn't have done. And I'm being more intentional about the life that I'm living because of the hour phone call or Zoom call that he spent with me 2 years ago. And so with that, I'm going to introduce our guest. And in this week's episode, we're joined by Maurice Philogene. He's managing partner at Quattro Capital, a real estate investment firm focused on apartment complexes, mobile home parks, and other alternative investments across the United States. In addition to running a successful real estate investment firm, Maurice, or Mo, is the host of a popular podcast called Try on Life.
That's the best title.
It is. As well as being an entrepreneur, a freedom coach, and philanthropist. Mo has many second acts, including a 25-year stint as a senior executive for a global management consulting firm, Accenture, 22 years as a special agent and lieutenant colonel in the military, running field offices for a federal law enforcement agency worldwide, and a 15-year midnight police officer in the D.C. area as a means to give back to his local community. Outside of work, Mo loves spending time with his family, traveling around the world, experiencing the amazing things different places and cultures have to offer. And so with that, Mo, a special welcome to the show.
Welcome.
Thank you. Actually, when you were saying that, I was getting a little bit emotional, John, because I'm not even playing around, man, because everything that I'm doing with my platform to try and help people live more intentionally, sometimes you don't know if it's working or not. You just, you do the best you can do. And then you are the second person who said something to me like that today. Another guy told me, we spent maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours together, and I coached him a little bit formally and stuff, and he was explaining to me how his life has changed. And that's why tribe is so important. When you get around people who really don't want to follow status quo, there's nothing wrong with status quo. I don't want people to think that like I'm not anti anything. I'm just pro-life.
Yeah.
But we really do need tribe of people around us who think differently, who want to be intentional about living, who want their second act, their third act, their fourth act, and are unapologetic about how they do it. But it's nice to hear from time to time how something you've done has impacted people. Like I'll be walking around in Maryland and somebody will walk up to me. It's like, yo, do you remember when you came in my house and pulled out that burglar? I'm like, no, but I'm glad to know I did something positive in your life. You know what I mean? So it's a nice thing to hear sometimes.
Well, for our audience, you and I met when I was in D.C. finishing out my military career. You were, in D.C. concurrently. And I took an attraction to what you were doing because your, time in the service kind of linked up with mine. We're both lieutenant colonels.
Yeah.
I was wanting to get into commercial real estate at the time to find that freedom that you were starting to experience. And your words were just they were filled with intention.
Mm-hmm.
And it seemed like you were one of those people that were actually doing what you professed to be doing. And you said something to me about, not picking a career for the paycheck, but going somewhere that would affect the rest of my life and my kids' life and family.
Yeah.
And it was just so impactful. And now I'm in Colorado Springs because of the friends I have around me.
Yeah.
When there were so many other options out there to choose from that were probably better paying or more attractive living locations or, opportunities, sexier opportunities. But this is what I chose. And again, because of those seeds that you planted. And then, I remember one of those ways that I could pay it back to you was we got to do a tour.
Yeah, man.
On the base and go see the helicopters. And I got to meet your son.
Yeah.
Man, it was
that was a good day because I don't know if you remember, I told you I hadn't been back to a military base since I retired.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't even when I got there that day, when the guard when the guard saw my ID and saluted me and shit, I was like, I guess I'm still military. I kind of forgot that I was still part of the family and stuff, and it was a nice visit. Just because you do that kind of work for 22 years, and all of a sudden it's gone, and you can't quite understand what's happening. So that was a good day to kind of re-engage and remember where I came from.
Well, there's a couple tours that I've given.
Yeah.
That mean a lot to the people I'm giving them to, but it means so much more to me to be able to afford that opportunity and just offer that gesture. And it was a way that I could repay you for the hour that you spent with me, a nobody before that call, to just, help engage with where I was at in life. And fast forward, that's what this show is about.
Mm-hmm.
Is paying it back to people that have really reached into Michael and I's life and say thank you, and then give it to our audience. But I just want to let you know that was a special time for me. So
my pleasure. My pleasure, brother.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, everybody's on a different journey in life, Mo, and it sounds like you're certain parts of what John shared in the opening about your background.
Mm-hmm.
Some people might see as like conventional, more structured tracks, and then there's other entrepreneurial aspects like starting real estate investment firms and starting a coaching business, trying on life, online media business that are less conventional, less structured, more I'm going to figure it out as I go. I love that dynamic, in sort of the road you've traveled so far. Help our audience understand some of the things that helped shape your mindset to get you to this place where both can work, and you need to do what works for you, and help people sort of understand that.
I find it helpful to tell people where I am versus the build-up. So let me just say I'm 48 years old. I'm a father of two. I'm out of the normal working world or the W-2 world. I've been out of it since late 2021. I could have left the working world in probably 2013, but I didn't because I enjoyed my job. I enjoyed all my careers. I think somewhere along the line, the notion of being promoted in careers has overcome the actual career itself. Nah, man, I want to be a street cop. I want to be a federal agent, stuff like that. But I did, so I 25 years as an executive at Accenture, 22 in the military, as John referenced, as a federal agent, and then 15 years as a street cop, and I kind of did it all at the same time. I found ways to do it because it was important to me to do them all before I punched off this planet, because every time I talk to somebody who's 20, 30 years my senior, and that's where I always go for advice, is to people who are 20, 30 years my senior, it's always regret. It's always what I didn't do. It's always it's never the accolades or the fact that that person was a CEO or a school principal. They just seem to always talk about the place they didn't go, the girl they didn't ask out, the chance they didn't take to build a business. So for me, I went my own route unapologetically. I did all those careers. I invested in real estate since age 21 because I wanted financial freedom, not for the money, but because I had an experience when I was 15 years old where I traveled to France for 30 days, and this family took me around in a Range Rover for 30 days as a little black inner city kid who knew nothing, and it changed me. It made me realize that the world has so much to offer, and none of it had to do with Yo MTV Raps or making it to the NFL. None of it. But that's the story I was fed as a kid.
Yeah.
So the real estate thing and the financial freedom thing came as a result of me reading a financial book when I was 21, and it had a phrase called passive income, and it dawned on me, if I could create this passive income, I could create time. If you can create time, then you can go have any of the experiences that I was just referencing. But of course, it took me a long time to earn my financial freedom, but I got very intentional about making sure that I had experiences along the way. So picking roles at work that were more experiential, being around the world. Like I've worked for the Finnish, this is separate from policing. This was when I was at Accenture. I worked for government agencies or whatever in Finland, Sweden, Norway, Nigeria, pick a place, Hong Kong. Like I was all over the place, but at the specific detriment of upward mobility. They're like, you're not going to get promoted if you take all these roles. And I was like, I don't care. I wanted the experience. So my journey has been about two things. My journey has been about having as many rich experiences as I can and building meaningful relationships everywhere. You do those two things, you're going to have a life book that you look back on and you're going to be like, man, none of that has to do with money. I just keep making money as a byproduct of doing really cool stuff and being around really smart people, you know? So I've just chosen to live life a certain way and to try life on my way, and I try to help other people do the same.
That's awesome. And it's an amazing coincidence that recently you talked about regret and listening to people who have traveled the road before us.
Yep.
And one of the things I was thinking about recently is never in my entire 44 years on this earth have I heard a sibling, a parent, a grandparent, a colleague, a friend say, I wish enter relative relationship would be CEO soon or have some title soon. Never.
Nobody cares.
It's not about that. It's not about that. And you just sort of articulated that very beautifully.
It's not about that, but listen, it's not about that. You're right. But do you know how hard it is for people to grab onto that concept? Because 20 to 30 years of formal education has told us what to be, where to go, what success looks like. Get to this place, do this, be the CEO, work for Amazon, work for Facebook, you'll be cool. Like wherever. In grade school, we're creative. I say this a lot, but I'll say it here for your platform. In grade school, we're creative. In kindergarten, we're creative. We're eating glue and throwing paint on walls, and we're running outside with scissors in our hand and almost stabbing people. Like, we're just the creative beings that I think God wanted us to be. And then we get into grade school and high school, and this whole thing starts to shift into compliance. Like, Johnny, take this permission slip home, do this, sit forward, Susie, stop messing around, everyone be quiet in class. And then the thing starts to shift in high school, and I don't like it. And what happens in high school is we get taught to compete with each other. We get taught to compete. Who's going to be in the AP classes? Who's going to be the prom king? Who's going to be the prom queen? Who's going to be the MVP? Who's going to go to Yale versus the community college? It's all competition. And it translates into college, and it translates right into the work world. I got to compete with John to get the 06 billet, to be a colonel. I got to compete with this person to be the general. But we get so stuck on the competition part. Like at Accenture, everyone was like, Maurice, you've been here 25 years. What's wrong with you? Why are you not a partner? I chose not to be. I don't want to be a partner. I chose not to follow that route, because if you are blindly competing, which is what happens in our society, we are wasting our number one resource, which is time, because you are chasing somebody else's version of success. And what I did was chase my own version of success and create financial ability to do that. So when people at Accenture, and I say it now, I loved Accenture, so I'm not crapping on my old company. Yeah. But when people say, man, what was wrong with you? It was like, nah, brother, there was nothing wrong with me. I just wasn't chasing your version of success. I was quietly building up 2,000 apartments in the background, quietly having experiences in 98 countries 350 times. Mostly when I had no money, I was just learning how to travel hack. I was being a street cop in the middle of the night and being a good dad during the day. Oh, well, I don't want your version of success. So when you make that statement, I feel empathetic towards people, because we are all put into this system that teaches us to be a certain way. Now, once you have awareness or you immerse yourself in self-education, then it's on you to make a choice. There's nothing wrong with being in a status quo world. Nothing. If you want to be a doctor, do it. You want to be a high-powered lawyer, do it. But make the choice with awareness. Don't just default in life. And I think too many people are defaulting, even though they are aware, because they're following the Instagram, I want to be that path of things.
That's awesome.
It's, Mo, it is you going against that default that I think is so attractive. And that's what I found in that first conversation with you.
Yeah.
is even though you had these roles, very high, high, not profile, but, high responsibility.
Yeah, they were.
Very admirable. You have this personality of just giving, and it's so contagious. And that's what I was attracted to. And that's what I find so unique about where you're at, is that it almost seems that you've given, and you're still giving, but you're receiving. Now, all those seeds that you have planted for years, you're receiving return on those seeds. And that's not unique. I mean, that is unique in today's society, because everybody is so get, and looking out for number one and looking out for their family. And man, you're the opposite.
To be blunt, I don't know where that muscle came from. I don't know. I think my model, without me realizing it, I think my model was my father. I think so. I don't know. Because the brother, listen to what my father did. And this didn't really come to my attention consciously until I really sat down with the brother. But my dad is 60, no, he's in the 70s now. But my father has had one natural son, me, okay? My mother had a child by somebody else, was pregnant by somebody else. Or this is now, no, my neighbor told me this, and I've asked them if I can talk about this, and they said, yeah. So they raised my father raised my brother as his own, because he loved my mama so much. And then, you know what this SOB does? My cousin, who's his, not nephew, but great nephew, never knew his father, and his mother died, and he was living with the Haitian community in Boston, but it was the Haitian community that hadn't assimilated to U.S. culture. So if he would have stayed there, he would have had no future. So what does my amazing father do? Well, I'm going to raise him too.
Wow.
I mean, and then my father was a 35-year principal, retired 35 years after being in the Boston school system as a principal and teacher. So I think I got a good vision of it's better to give back. You're going to receive anyway, but the goodness of life comes when you give.
Yeah.
There's nothing to take, man. You're going to take. And one day you're going to make a mistake. I tell my business partners all the time, I do not like to chase money. I can't stand it. Because when you chase money, it runs. If someone is chasing money, what's eventually going to happen is they're going to make a mistake, because they're going to chase that thing and do something they're not supposed to do. They're going to make a mistake, or they're going to do something illegal. Don't put me in that situation. I don't want to chase money. I don't want to chase accolades. I don't want none of it. But it tends to come as a byproduct of just helping people. And the bigger, we know this in business, the bigger problem you solve that affects more people, the more money tends to fall out as a result of it. So if I did $5 million of real estate between 2002 to 2014, real flat out owned, like no mortgage on it, real estate. I found a way to create that.
Nice.
So I did okay for myself. But the moment I went into multifamily, John, and you know this, and I start solving larger problems to have more complexes for affordable housing for people to live in, because when the government does it, it's called projects. When I do it, it's called a nice apartment building. And then I have investors who want financial freedom for themselves. So I'm like, man, how can I help them get financial freedom faster than I got it? So I'm helping two communities. I'm helping the investor community, which is people like us, not big investors. I'm not interested in them people. I'm interested in the doc. I'm interested in the nurse. I'm interested in the police officer. I'm interested in the military dude. I'm interested in people who need help. And I'm just helping them grow their financial wealth. So, but because of it, because it's large scale deals, like I'm benefiting 7 figures, 8 figures, but I'll use it for society. Like I live off $8,000 a month. I don't really need that much.
Yeah.
And I still drive my 05, which I probably need to get a new one soon. She's 200,000 a month.
Yeah.
We should just help people, and good things seem to come in reverse. But chasing accolades and chasing money is such a waste of our time and our flesh here. It doesn't make sense to me.
But like you said, Mo, we're programmed at an early age
Yeah.
around a lot of those things. And then as you get older and become an adult and start making a living in some way, then you're hammered, and it's starting earlier and earlier now by the advertisers. And if you ever read about the history of consumerism, it's a very, very fascinating story about how it all came about. MIT did a really interesting article about it, and it talks about how once around the turn of the 20th century and the Industrial Revolution, and we started to be able to mass produce things at scale, and the need for human capital to work 7 days a week, 60 plus hours a week, started to go down, they needed to find a way for people to want more.
Yep.
And they came up with really clever ways to do that. The introduction of the radio in the household, they started feeding information, then the TV, and now you got a 24/7 information cycle in the palm of your hands at all times, telling you need something. And I'm happy to include this article in the show notes because it's really fascinating.
I'm aware of it. I would like to see the article that you have, so send it to me too. But I'm aware of that. I also want to point out to people that specialization, people focusing on one career. It's like, man, people, Mo, you're different. You had 4 careers in one. I'm like, that's not different. That's actually what people used to do. That's called experimenting in life. This thing about the one career thing came around during the Industrial Revolution, where industry needed people to specialize so we could become chess pieces as well. You're retiring? Great. I got this other person who has the exact same skill so we can push.
Yeah.
But you know what you just said about the radio feeding us information? I want to tell people something that I have come to understand, and this is just in the last 2 weeks. I put a episode out on Try Life On podcast about this, about mental diets and controlling your environment. So, John, I think you know this. I read 5 books for 20 years, and I reread them. It was the same 5 books. 2 real estate books, The Millionaire Real Estate Investor by Gary Keller, and then Multifamily Millions by David Lindahl. 1 lifestyle design book, Tim Ferriss's 4-Hour Work Week. 1 investing book, Tony Robbins' Money Master the Game, and then 1 book related to purpose, which is Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning. And I've just recently added a 6th book, which is Joseph Murphy's Power of Subconscious Mind. This is why I want to put this out, because I didn't know what I was doing at the time, but the reason I have what I have, not money, I just mean the life that I have, is because it's not that those 5 books, now 6 books, were the best books. It's that I was the best at those books. Like, I can quote pages out of those books. So in effect, I gave myself my own mental diet when Bitcoin came and the gold rush happened, and now there's NFTs. I didn't know nothing about it because I was reading the same books and executing the same thing over and over and over and over. And the way you become a master at something is you immerse yourself in it and you repeat it over and over again. I became a master at these 5 books, which is why I got all this real estate, which is why I learned how to travel so much, which is why I understood my purpose. Now, here's the other thing I want to tell people. Environment. So I've been spending a lot of time in the Mideast. I live between DC and coastal Lebanon now, right? And this just dawned on me 2 weeks ago because I was talking to a coaching student and I said, man, I'm starting to understand why mentally I'm getting so strong. I was a strong dude before. I was an A personality. You got to be if you're going to be a midnight police officer. But the way that I am now about life, it will be very difficult for anyone to crack my self-concept, the concept of myself. And one of the reasons is because I'm controlling my environment. I'm a black dude who lives in coastal Lebanon. I don't have the same socioeconomic issues as people there. So unless I'm engaging in conversation, I'm not hearing anything negative. I don't watch the news. I don't watch negative movies. I got off Instagram because I don't want to see it. My world is so confined to beauty and positivity that there's nothing I will do naturally that is a negative thing. But yet we allow ourselves, let's hear this negative thing. Let's hear this radio program. Let's hear this 18th murder on the news and expecting ourselves to thrive.
Yeah.
It's not possible, man. We really got to control what information gets into your system because your world is a reflection of your thoughts, period. So I have a beautiful world, man, because I got beautiful thoughts.
I love it.
Man, that's a great mental hack. Last couple of episodes ago, we interviewed a guy that is creating the antithesis of, TikTok and Facebook and Instagram.
I hope so.
It's kind of a positive app, for younger folks or people that want to be on. And it was after that episode that I went to my boys who are 12 and 8.
Yeah.
I went to my 12-year-old and I said, hey, do you, he doesn't have a cell phone, but I said, let's talk about your friends who have cell phones, who are on these social media platforms. And he's got limited exposure, not as much as, a full-blown teenager.
Yeah.
And I asked him afterwards, I said, do you have a desire to want to be on these apps? And he goes, you know what, Dad, not really. And I said, why is that? And he said, well, because the friends that I have that are on those apps at his age, 12 years old, he goes, they're always inside, and I live in Colorado Springs, but he's like, they're always inside and they're always on their phone. They can't break away.
Yeah.
And they are more negative than I am.
Yep.
And that perspective from a 12-year-old,
that's awesome,
is what you are talking about as an adult.
Yep.
And surrounding yourself with beautiful things. We don't have TV in our house, and that's a choice. And, we're kind of restrictive about what we watch and how much time we're in front of a screen or, whatever. But you're absolutely right. The food you put in, the conversations you put in, it all produces something. There's a byproduct.
All of it.
To that.
All of it. People just don't realize it. We just don't we're so far gone into it. Now, obviously, I post on LinkedIn, right? So I can't be like, oh, I don't use social media. No, I use it.
Right.
But I've gotten smarter about it. So once I dieted off of Instagram, I noticed that life started to feel better. And I thought about it. And I was like, what is it? And then there is positive stuff there. And I need it sometimes for motivation to do the posts that I do on LinkedIn. But Instagram and most social media is where you haven't been and what you haven't done.
Yeah.
It just causes people to be like, FOMO, I got to do this.
Right.
It's the same thing in the real estate space, man. But, okay, if I have 2,000 apartments and then someone looks at me, oh, Mo has 2,000 apartments, I guess I got to get 2,000 apartments. No, you don't. Get 3, pay them off, and then go live a good life. I did the 2,000 because I had goals relative to helping other people. But if I go out on social media and I'm like, I got 2,000 apartments, be like me, it causes people anxiety and stress for goals and versions of success that has nothing to do with them at all.
Yeah.
At all. It's a topic that really pisses me off because I see now being extracted from it how much is affecting people. And then relative to LinkedIn, since I do post every day, here's what I do. I post, I respond to comments, I try to get out to 5 or 6 people's thing to learn something and to contribute, and then I delete the app off my phone. And I'm gone. And I won't see it again until tomorrow morning when I want to go back and try and communicate something positive to people, and I'll do it again, and then I'll delete it again. I don't want to sit in that world, man. That's why you see me sitting in my backyard. I don't want to sit inside.
This episode is brought to you by Shopify. Forget the frustration of picking commerce platforms when you switch your business to Shopify, the global commerce platform that supercharges your selling wherever you sell. With Shopify, you'll harness the same intuitive features, trusted apps, and powerful analytics used by the world's leading brands. Sign up today for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/tech, all lowercase. That's shopify.com/tech.
With supply chains becoming more complex, you need to stay on top of the latest logistics developments. So if you work with logistics, you need the Beyond the Box podcast from Maersk. It's the easy way to keep up to date with everything from digital disruption in logistics to the need for supply chain resilience in today's market. Find out more and keep ahead of the game with the Beyond the Box podcast on logistics insights at maersk.com/insights.
was just going to point out that it's very sort of Zen-like talking to you right now. You got the trees blowing in the background, Mo, and the greenery.
Yeah, man.
And it brings me back to some of my favorite memories as a kid, since we're talking about this starts at a young age.
Yeah.
Either playing in the pool outside with my G.I. Joes or sitting in a tree watching people walk by, just outside in nature. And these technology tools that are available now that make you think, I want what somebody else has. They say comparison is the thief of joy.
Yep.
And you're constantly comparing all the time what you have to versus, what other people have.
Yeah.
And it's ridiculous. But then it all makes sense when you start to think about incentives, the business incentives, and what gets users on these platforms and why it is the way it is. They're based on an ad model, and what's going to draw people in, it's fear and greed and all these other things. So it's just sort of, if you really start to peel back the onion, a lot of it is very explainable. But like you said, you have to sort of wake up and reflect and understand, what's influencing you.
You got to
that.
be intentional. You got to be intentional about it, because there's a lot of positives to social media. When I went through the journey that I talked to you about, I couldn't find John. There was no, we didn't have, when I went on my core journey, Facebook had just started. Google wasn't even here yet. Yahoo was the big thing. There was no Instagram, no LinkedIn. Email was kind of coming around. Like I was always in the library. That's where I live. Aisle 6 of the Fairfax County Library. Every Saturday, I'm in that joint reading constantly, lonely.
Yeah.
And that's what I mean. Like the social media can be such a connector, especially for someone like me who is wanting to do certain things, let's say in the Mideast or in Greece, or I will use social media to go find the resources that I need because I know I can get connected to it. So it's on us to use it the right way. It's how I say about 9 to 5. There's nothing wrong with Accenture. There's nothing wrong with career. It's how you leverage the 9 to 5 that's jacked up. People are going to work to build other people's dreams, chasing titles, and all of a sudden they're 60 years old, they wake up and like, oh man, I missed all of life. Nah, man, you got to leverage it for the experience and relationships and resources. It's the same thing for social media.
Mo, you said something to me the very first time we talked, and I said, you asked me, why are you trying to get into commercial real estate? And I said, well, I'm just trying to pursue financial freedom.
Yeah.
And you did something that stuck with me, and I do it a lot now, but you said, well, what is financial freedom to you?
Mm-hmm.
And at the time I couldn't explain it.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't break it down, but you said, well, if your bills are $8,000 a month and you're making $8,050, you're
free.
financially free. You're doing it.
Yeah.
And it really put me on my ear and made me think, wow, I had been looking at all the other people that had 1,000, 5,000, 10,000, doors or, relationships with people that did. And I thought, that's what I've got to do. And when you broke it down for me 2.5 years ago, I thought, wow, I'm actually pretty close to being financially free. Now, what do I want? And our conversation divulged into, well, what's really important? Friends, family, the life we're living, with the time that we have. And that just really stuck with me. And I ask those people now, the people that say, well, I just want to be wealthy. I just want to have a happy marriage. I just want to. Yeah, exactly.
Right. Yeah.
And I think and this is getting into your coaching.
Yeah.
Because I want to ask about that.
Sure.
But I want to ask, are people still chasing things that they haven't defined?
Yeah.
And is that something you face on a regular basis?
Every day. I think, I don't know, John, if it was like the midlife crisis thing. I'm not sure if it's a midlife crisis as much as it is your subconscious, your God, your spirit talking to you and telling you that you're missing the boat, that something is off.
Yeah.
So the people that tend to reach out to me relative to lifestyle design and real estate and all that, they're not chasing financial freedom. That's not what they're chasing. They're chasing life. They feel something that's missing. So they'll come and inevitably talk to me about real estate, and I'll do the exact same thing that I probably did with you naturally. It was like, why? What do you think it is? And then we'll go through this conversation piece. I just had it today with a guy I did a consultation with. I'll run you through his example because this will be good. He started a business with his family. It's medical related. It's a facility, but he started a business with his family. They are doing really well. He makes about $400,000 a year. It's possible that this business can be bought out, so he'll get a windfall of like $1 million to $5 million in 2-3 years. And he's like, I think I want to get financial freedom, Maurice. And I was like, okay, well, what are you trying to do? And we talked through it, and this is where we landed. It's not that he has money. He's got money in his chessboard, just like many people do. But he couldn't define what it is he's actually trying to do. So I said, well, what's the perfect day? What do you, where do you want to be? And matter of fact, don't tell me where you want to be. Just tell me how you want it to feel. How do you want it to feel? Man, I want to feel free. I want to be by the water. I want my wife to not have to chase the kids. I want to not be busy, but I want to work 2-3 hours a day, make really good decisions that have outcomes, and then be done, and then truly live. I was like, fantastic. Now we're talking. Where is that? I don't know where it is.
Yeah.
Great. So let's go practice. Let's go find places that fit that bill. You take some resources. You take that family. You don't go on vacation. You go practice life. People think me living this life that I do between DC and Lebanon, Cyprus, Turkey, Greece, that's kind of my neighborhood. But my life between these two places is some destination that I just landed on. No, I've been practicing it for a long time.
Okay.
So I said, brother, go practice the life you think you want. Well, I'm having a hard time because how do I exit the business? If I exit the business, then I'm going to be letting down family. And I let them have it at that point. I'm like, man, we got 28,000 days in a lifetime. I'm 48, 11,315 or less left. I don't have time to mess around. Most of the time when people are not living the way that your gut is telling you to live, it's because of peers, coworkers, family, and neighbors throwing all their fears on you about what you are supposed to do or be or whatever. So you're telling me this is the perfect day you want. You literally just cried, grown-ass man to another grown-ass man who you don't know, and you were crying. And you're telling me the thing that's going to stop you is the opinion or the life of other people because you're worried about and then it just hit him.
Yeah.
We were always in control, but all these opinions that we allow. So from a financial freedom perspective, now here's the key. What do you have on your financial chessboard right now? All right, I got a couple $100,000 sitting right here. I have 2 pieces of real estate that I bought over the years. Great. We're going to move those chess pieces around and we're going to turn them into stuff that give you cash flow to cover your $6,000 of basic expenses monthly. So he's moving those around. What are you going to do for the rest? This is what you're going to do. You're still going to work. You're going to present your business partner / family a solution to support, not a problem to solve. Don't be like, hey, man, I want to go to Costa Rica. You guys deal with the business I'm out. No. Create a scenario by which you can still support them. You can be remote.
Yeah.
You can help someone have their personal growth, move them into a position. You help them, and you're back with the family still collecting a check virtually, but you are storing that money on a monthly basis, and every time you get to, let's say, $50,000, go buy another piece of real estate. Add a little bit of cash flow as you go. Slow burn. By the time you wake up 10 years from now, you have 5 places, maybe paid off because you had that windfall. You got all your basic needs covered. You're living somewhere that gives you so much emotion. Your wife is right by your side because you can afford to have an amazing support system in a nanny that helps you with the kids, and your kids are living life outside. And he's like, he was just dumbfounded. And I said, well, you called the right person because I'm not interested in society's version of success. I'm interested in yours. That's why I asked you, what does your perfect day feel like? Where are you, brother? It has nothing to do with Mo's version of life. You want to be a police officer? Don't do that. What do you want to be? Anyways, but the financial freedom stuff is to support life. People have messed it up. We're chasing money as if it's life. No, you use that money or create some kind of stream to support the amazing lifestyle you want. And the way you know if you're on an amazing lifestyle is how it makes you feel every day. It's not where you are. It's how it makes you feel. Like I'm sitting in my backyard. I feel good today.
I hear you talk about success, and most people, it seems, when they refer to success, it's a financial metric. They think of success as a financial metric, and then they often compare themselves like, hey, in order for me to be successful, I have to be like John or Jane over there.
Yeah.
But I think what you're describing in terms of success is a much more broad, holistic definition of what that is. Maybe there's a dimension of it that is financial related, but it's being present with your family and friends. It's not being burnout and stressed with working, 60, 80, 100 hours a week. It's appreciating, each step in life and
working on it.
It's a hard thing to wrap your head around, but if you just like you're doing through all of your ventures and the ways that you're helping people, it's giving them you're causing a paradigm shift and giving them like an awakening of some kind. And it's amazing to hear these stories, and I love it.
I've been thinking about that, and I think what I do is I give people the excuse that they needed, because I'm just not, I don't care.
Yeah.
I have zero interest in people's, don't get me wrong. We live in a global society and in a U.S.-based society. I want to be a part of society. I give back in a lot of ways. But the one thing that I am is I'm not interested in society telling me what makes me happy. And I want to help other people grab that power for themselves and their family. And I get very aggressive. I'm very aggressive with my coaching students about this kind of thing because we got this one shot. And also, you have to recognize, like, John, you caught me in a window at a time where I still do, but I wanted to give to you. I don't totally remember the conversation, but I like to give in that sense. So there was a window of time that you took advantage of so you could get whatever nugget you needed for your thing. My coaching students have a window. I have a window with people who are doing things that I want to do. I lean into that. We have got to learn that as soon as we see something that feels right, when your gut is telling you to go that way, but society's going that way, follow your gut. Your gut is probably your God. He's literally, she, whatever you want to call it, call it Tom and Jerry. I'm not going there. But it's literally telling you something to go live. But what people do is they see the herd and they're like, that feels comfortable. It's a cliche, but we have to get comfortable being uncomfortable. We have to get comfortable being uncomfortable because that's what sparks growth. That sparks the second act. That's why people go up on a mountaintop, they become CEO of something. They know very well that they just want to start painting, but they're so scared because all their CEO peers, like, why would you give that up to go express yourself in art or something? Because your gut is telling you to do it. It's there. It was always there.
Yeah.
It's just that society and all the messages that we get and the consumerism and all that type of stuff, it mutes who we actually are.
Absolutely. And John, I don't know if you recall, back in early January, I was on a family vacation and you sent me a really interesting article about, I don't know, call it retirement or the second act or the next phase of your life. And there was a person cited in the article. I think she was the former CEO of IBM and very accomplished woman who had done financially well and was headed into whatever that next phase was. And she came to the realization post leaving IBM that 95% of the transactions and network that she had built up to that point were just sort of situational work related. It wasn't her community. And that was sort of like an eye opener to her. She thought she had all this sort of amazing, powerful network, and come to be, it was really, just for the work stuff, not what came after. And thank you for sharing that article with me, because it was an eye opener for me to hear someone in that position to share that perspective. And then marry that with what Mo has shared with us in this discussion. And then some of the things that I've read and experienced over the last year on my own personal journey. It's just been it's really hard to explain. And it's kind of do your best to, we talked about paying it forward at the beginning, like share our experiences with others so that maybe they'll take something away from what we've learned.
Sure. Well, that's why Mo's conversation with me was so impactful at the time. I mentioned I was in DC. I was leaving the military after 20 years, high profile job. Everybody in DC is about where you work, what your title is, how much you make, and what's next, right? And I tell people jokingly, being in DC is like being at a Chinese buffet, right? There is a ton of food out there presented to you, and it looks pretty good. It may taste okay, but it's garbage.
It's not real.
Why settle for that when you can have a simple, small meal that tastes phenomenal, it's filling, and it doesn't have the fluff.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right? And that's what Mo pushed me to. He said, what are you doing? Why are you pursuing, or what are you pursuing, and what is it going to provide for you? And when I said, I'd love to be around friends, and I'd love to have my family with me, and he said, go do it. I mean, it was that blunt. Go do it. Where do you want to live? And I said, I don't know. I got a lot of friends in Colorado Springs. He goes, go live there. And I kept saying, but he's like, but what? You're going to be fine. You'll figure it out. Go chase after that. If you've got your priorities listed, for me, it's God, family, friends, and God's taken care of. But if family's number 2, he's like, go find where your family and friends are and be there. And then everything else will come around.
It has to come around. It has to come around because it has to come around. The most powerful tool that we have is our minds. And the most powerful tool in our mind is our imagination. All the stuff, Michael, that we've been talking about is society's inadvertent or advertent attempt to mute our imagination on the art of the possible of what life is. And what I suggested to you, John, and what I'm following for myself is I have a very vivid imagination. Vivid. And I didn't realize at the time, but I said in 2004 to my then girlfriend, you see that patrol car in front of that person's house? That's a take-home car. I'm going to do that. I remember in 2004 saying that. Anne Arundel County police car. And in 2008, I had my own police car. In 2001, I saw the Jason Bourne series of movies, and I said, I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I'm going to be a special agent, and I'm going to be running around the Med. Because Jason Bourne, that was all around the Mediterranean. I ran a field office in Izmir, Turkey on the Aegean Sea and had protective service detail missions down to southern Turkey, which is on the Med. So I did that. I said I was going to play football, so I tried out for the NFL twice. But I didn't make it to the NFL, but it doesn't matter. My imagination took me to... Not only did I try out for the NFL after you playing football at UVA, and I wasn't that great of a ball player. In high school, I was really good, but college, I wasn't that great. My imagination was so strong that when I hit age 26, I'm like, no, I got to go do that again. So I went to grad school. Listen to this. I created a solution for my job to support, and I came up with a scenario. I didn't say I got a problem. I want to try out for the NFL. I told them, this is what I'm going to do. Here's how you guys are going to benefit from it. Will you support it? They said, yeah. So I ended up at Bowie State University in Maryland because it was Division II. I still had eligibility left. I went back to play football. I had to get a degree, but I was actually at school to get another shot to go to the NFL. If your imagination is telling you something, so just like you with the friends, you just go that way. Everything will catch up. Yeah. Your external world will catch up to your thoughts, but you follow your thoughts. And what everybody's doing is allowing the external world to dictate thoughts. That's why I was saying about the mental diet is so important. You just stay right where you are or put yourself in a tribe of people who will be supportive and you go after it. Everyone is so worried. It's what we're here to do. second act, third act, fifth act. It doesn't matter.
Right.
Like I'm a inner city Haitian kid from Boston who lives in coastal Lebanon. That would make no sense. But it does to me because that's the way my imagination works.
Yeah.
I just follow my gut and I go practice it. I go try life on with it. I find people who are supportive, or I just don't say anything. So I don't know. People, you can go live a status quo life if you want to, but we have a very finite amount of time on this planet. I would love to see people lean in even more. And, stuff like what you guys are doing is helping people. Like the word is getting out. You can feel it. You can feel when you talk to people, they're starting to think a little bit different. Or maybe I'm just in those circles now, but I feel something is happening.
No, you're right. It's becoming
agree.
a bigger topic of conversation.
Yeah.
And it's becoming more popular.
Yeah.
Slowly, albeit, but it's becoming more popular for people to start thinking outside of that track that they have been on for 20 years, 30 years, and start thinking, what if I just quit that and did something else? And every guest that we've had on that has left that initial direction and and decided to go somewhere else, bifurcate their actions towards one specific point, they have all said it was the best thing that happened to them. None of them have been filled with regret because they've learned something, or they've failed, or they had been set up with a challenge, and then it's made them better off.
They took their own red pill.
Yeah. And the fact that we're on this earth today, alive and kicking, and the earth is 4 billion years old, it's actually a miracle. It's a statistical miracle that we're here. If you think about the chain of events that would have to occur over 4 billion years for us to be alive on earth today. And so from a perspective of like, why live life according to someone else's rules? Like, you're here for a very short period of time. Engage in some self-reflection. Like you said, Mo, have your right tribe, your right community to encourage you to do things, and just give it a try. Who cares what the outcome is? Actually, you don't even control the outcome. The outcome is the outcome. You just do something, and life is going to unfold in some interesting ways, both good and bad.
Yep.
Yeah, and I don't want people to think I wasn't scared or I didn't have my moments. I had my moments. I like being a street cop at the same time as being an executive for 15 years was not simple. It really wasn't simple. And I didn't know how it was going to work, but I just kept practicing it. The rhythm got easier and easier. But to your point, you don't know what the outcome is going to be. You just kind of have to go that direction. I'm sure, John, when you got in the military, you didn't know you were going to be a helicopter pilot like right away, or you didn't know exactly who you were going to be flying around. You just kind of go, you go with where the universe is going to take you.
Yes.
I don't know. I think that's one of the best gifts we can give to your listeners right now is go where your gut is telling you to go. You can't lose. And this is one of my favorite posts on LinkedIn. You cannot lose your own race. It is impossible.
Right.
It's impossible.
Exactly.
So if you are chasing someone else's definition of success, I want to be the partner, I want to be this. If you want that, great, then go do it. But if you're chasing somebody else's definition, you're probably going to lose because it's not what you truly care about. And for you to be persistent and aggressive towards a life-related goal, it has to be in your subconscious, in your gut, in your nervous system, pushing you. So, police officer, federal agent, what? Yeah, it's been in my nervous system so long, I don't know how not to be that. So if you follow your gut, you will get somewhere. It may not be the place that you think. It might be something even better. We just don't know. We don't know.
Yeah.
And I think the best freaking example I can give is like, yeah, I live in Lebanon now. What?
Yeah.
It's a wonderful feeling, and I hope people take that away from this is like, follow your gut. It's always been there the whole time. We're just getting muted by too many other things, and I empathize with people for that. I've just built a muscle over the years where it's impossible for my imagination to be muted. It's just not possible anymore because once you see it, You can't unsee it. Once you realize you can manifest your own life, you can't unsee it. So when I get offers to go work for a company, I just got one. When I get offers to go work for a company, over $500,000. Come. For what? What kind of life is that going to give me to go back into an office environment to chase 500,000 pieces of green paper that may or may not have value in a few years? We don't even know.
Yeah.
Right? So life is very interesting, but I hope people follow their imagination, chase their second act, third act, and it doesn't need to be one thing. It can be an and versus an or scenario. I was exec and police officer and federal agent and real estate investor and acted in TV and movies. I wanted a full life book. Where does this thing come where you can only be one thing? I don't understand that. So I'm not going to do that. I'm going to follow my own route. People can
so good.
We can really do what we want. We can.
Mo, you and I need to talk more when this podcast ends.
I told you he's addictive.
It's I feel like we're soulmates in the universe somehow.
Well, that's what the universe did. It brought us together through John. And you follow where the universe takes you, brother. And we'll have some conversations offline and stuff. And you got to find your tribe, man. That's why social media is good for that type of stuff. But we have to leverage it the right way.
100%.
Mo, usually we wrap up the show with practical advice and insights for people that are contemplating getting started on their second act. But I think your follow the gut, your gut, and the best one, you can't lose your own race. That, to me, is the most practical advice that you could provide to wrap the show up. So, you helped us out there without even asking.
It's my pleasure, and just do it and course correct along the way. Don't overthink it. No successful person, money or life-wise, has ever known everything. Nobody knows anything. You just do it, and you fail, and you course correct along the way, and you do it again, and you fail again, but now you're on this path. You do it again, you fail again, you meet tribe along the way, you meet your wife, your significant other, you do it again, you fail again. Just do. Nike had it right. Just do it.
They did.
But I'll update it by saying just do and course correct along the way, and finish it with it's your own race. I have no definition of what I'm supposed to, like what my success is. But my success is just living really, really well without interference or negative impacts from I just don't want it. I'm not interested in it whatsoever. So I'm doing okay on my race. People need to recognize that they are on their own race and block out all this weird noise that's going on, and then everybody will be good.
So good.
I think we have to end it there, John. And that's the perfect ending to this incredible discussion today.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Mo, thanks so much for coming on. This is an incredible discussion, and I will be reaching out. So we need to talk some more.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Maybe I actually bring you guys on Try Life On because you're helping people in a different way, and it's a beautiful thing. So anytime I can help out.
Love it.
People want to get a hold of you. LinkedIn, it sounds like, is the best method to do that.
Yeah, Maurice at trylifeon.com is a good one.
Okay.
I'm very active on LinkedIn, just Maurice Philogene. The real estate stuff is Quattro Capital, so just Google Quattro Capital and Maurice Philogene. Sometimes I'm on Instagram, but not recently. I don't really want to be there anymore. And then please let me plug my platform. Go to trylifeon.com, register for the newsletter.
Sure.
It's these kinds of conversations. And then I always respond to people relative to the podcast and to the newsletters that I write to help people figure out their own life, and people can reach me there.
Awesome.
And those newsletters, I read them. I'm a member of Try Life On, at least to your posts, but inspirational. It gets you thinking outside the box. It gets you thinking about things that are bigger than, the norm, and it can really shift. One conversation can really shift what you're doing or the direction you're going. And that's what we always say here, or I say, is you're one conversation away from a really good deal or a really big course correction.
It's very true. Very true.
Yeah.
You never know. And to look back 2 years and think about that initial conversation that I had with you over Zoom in my house in Virginia about real estate, and to be where I'm at now, and it's worth its weight in gold to me. So,
Right on, brother. Makes me happy.
Maurice, thank you so much for that initial conversation. Thank you for the conversations that have ensued past that.
Yeah.
And then thank you again for just being on the show today.
Yeah.
And feeding our audience with your wisdom, with your passion, and your inspiration. So
Well, again,
thank
I
you for being on the
appreciate
show,
it,
man.
and thanks for giving me a platform to just. Sometimes I can go off, but I am. You use the right word. I am passionate about life.
Yep.
We got this one. So if I can share energy that helps people move, I'm all for it. So I appreciate it.
Love it. Amazing. Thanks,
Well,
Mo.
Michael, I think that's
Yes,
a wrap,
sir.
man.
That's a wrap. Amazing.
And
Thanks, guys. And thanks
yeah.
to our audience for listening.
yeah, and congratulations to our winner.
Yes, Teresa.
We'll be in contact, and we'll see you all next week.
All right. See ya.
See ya.
The Second Act with Michael and John stars Michael Newborn and John Ballinger. The podcast is produced by Seltzer Kings. For more information on the show, check out michaelandjohn.com, or if you'd like to get involved in the conversation, give the guys a shout on their socials at The Second Act with Michael and John on most platforms. Thanks for listening.
Seltzer Kings.
Podcasts.